The year was 1917, and the Bolsheviks had just taken power in Russia. Led by the one and only Vladimir Lenin, they had big plans to create a workers' paradise. And what better way to achieve this than by ruthlessly crushing any dissent or opposition? You see, the Bolsheviks were a paranoid bunch. They believed that enemies were lurking around every corner, plotting to undermine their glorious revolution. So they did what any rational leader would do. They started rounding up anyone who even looked at them strangely and sent them to the Gulag archipelago. But wait, there's more. Enter Joseph Stalin, the real master of repression. This guy took paranoia to a whole new level. He saw enemies everywhere, in the government, in the armed forces, even among his closest allies. And so began the Great Purge, a period of mass arrests, torture, and executions that would make even the Spanish Inquisition blush. Repressions reached a frightening peak during Stalin's Great Terror between 1936 to 1938. During this period, estimates suggest that up to 1.5 million people were summarily executed or sent to the infamous gulags in Siberia. Because, nothing says workers' paradise like sending millions of people to die in the icy lands of Siberia. The victims included not only real political dissidents, but anyone seen as a potential threat: intellectuals, artists, peasants, ethnic minorities. All it took was one false accusation to seal their tragic fate. And how were the accusations obtained? Through brutal torture and interrogation methods worthy of a horror movie. After all, nothing screams revolutionary justice louder than forcibly extracting confessions, right? In a cruel irony, the Stalinist regime's paranoia ended up undermining its own base. Thousands of party members, military officers, and government officials were ruthlessly purged. Stalin effectively decimated the Bolshevik old guard that had helped him come to power. A ruthless hunt for the so-called enemies of the people. And the human cost of this repressive madness? Incalculable. Families were torn apart, lives ruined, and an entire nation traumatized. But why, you may be wondering, did the Soviet leadership go so far? The Soviet leadership was driven by a combination of ideological zeal, paranoia, and a desire to maintain absolute control over the population. Ah, yes, the old recipe for a totalitarian nightmare. A dash of ideological fervor, a pinch of paranoia, and a lot of power-hungry maniacs. In the end, Soviet repression left a trail of destruction and suffering that would haunt future generations. So the next time you hear someone waxing poetically about the glories of communism, remember the millions who suffered under its iron fist. Because let's face it, nothing screams utopia like a totalitarian regime that systematically eliminated its own people.